This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Iowa 911 Communications Council, this meeting for Thursday, May 11th, 2023. We have people scattered all over, both here and online and on the phone. So we'll forego the guest introductions, but Kara, could we have a roll call to establish our quorum, please?
Sure. Chris Jasper.
I'm here.
Lawrence Hartman.
Here.
George Griffith.
I'm here.
Mike Bryant.
I'm here.
Mark Murphy.
Here.
Tracy Bearden.
Here.
Richard Pierce.
Here.
Rob Denners.
Here.
Jack D'Angelo.
Here.
Taylor Kiefel. Right, good form.
Okay, thank you. Could I get a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved.
Oop. I'll second it, Bearden.
Mark Murphy.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Again, same sign. Motion carries. Likewise, could I get a motion to approve the April 13, 2023 minutes? Here's some make the motion. Thank you. Have a second?
Griffith will
second.
Whatever.
Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Again, same sign. Motion carries. Blake, do you have a report for us?
I do. I will just jump right into the financials. Nothing overly significant to point out other than with interest rates up, we do generate more interest on the 911 surcharge account. You can kind of just walk through the normal expenditure report and see how much we received, $7.4 million in wireless surcharge, $65,000 in interest, and just under $700,000 in prepaid. We still pay out wireless phase 1 to one carrier. That equals $130,000. And you can see the rest of the bills, network, Comtech, Geocom, Zetron, GIS grants, comes out to $2.3 million. 60% that we pass through to the PSAPs comes out to just under $5 million at $4.9 million. And then we transferred over $822,000 into the operating surplus. Really, the only thing maybe significant to point out is at this point through 3 quarters, we have not done any significant PSAP moves. Just as a reminder, anytime PSAP moves across the street, moves their equipment room, does a remodel, there is cost generated that we help offset. So actually, there are a couple in the 4th quarter that we're projecting and expecting, so there will be some upcoming, but so far we have not done any this year. And that is really small in the room. PSAP payments, again, nothing really significant to point out. We did receive all of the expenditure collection forms, so we don't have to withhold any surcharge, so all of the amounts are full and normal. Any questions on financials? All right, seeing none. In my 8 years of being program manager, I've never talked about a PSAP remodel before, but I'm actually going to with Harrison County because it's going to be really cool. They are just going to be doing a quick remodel. It's going to take them about 3 days. But the significance and why I'm talking about it is that they will be answering calls out of the disaster recovery PSAP during that time. So again, that's working with shared services and working with DPS. We'll have their mobile command vehicle in Harrison County for those 3 days in June, and be answering calls, live 911 calls out of that truck. So that is really cool. This will be the first time we've taken live 911 calls. We've been looking for kind of an exercise or an event to do that in a non-emergency. So that will be coming up and kind of a cool story to tell. Next week, I am heading to Mankato I've been asked to do a 2-day panel presentation with Minnesota's 911 program, basically just sharing about our 911 program and some of our success stories with shared services and the aforementioned disaster recovery PSAP. So I will be there next Thursday and Friday. Just another update on interstate transfers. Of course, I've discussed where we have completed Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska. Illinois is about 30 days out, and then Missouri and Wisconsin are significantly down the road waiting for those states to be ready to do those interstate transfers. Update on GIS grants. I will be getting the FY24 grant guidance out later today or this week. Really no changes other than, as we've discussed throughout this year, planning to move to a monthly process instead of quarterly. So still the same amounts, still the same benchmarks. Basically, you earn $1,000 every month that you upload and meet the benchmarks. Again, this summer we'll be actually using that GIS data, and that's the reason we need current, up-to-date, accurate information. As far as grant awards for the fourth quarter through 1 month, we had 87 counties meet the benchmarks, and you can see the amount passed through. We do have a handful of public education and training requests to go through today. They're on the screen. We did kind of give the thumbs up to the APCO Spring Conference, but the details and the specifics are on this month's agenda. Then Marshall County has 2 requests for 2 different trainings. And then with the end of the fiscal year coming up and a significant amount of funding still available, we do have this handy brochure that I'm showing in the room that this 911 program would like to print off and ship off to all the PSAPs in the state. I think we're looking at like 500 per PSAP that we would do the printing, we would do the shipping. You guys, the PSAPs, would have those available then to either have at your facility or at any county fairs or any events that you might have. We are still waiting for the quote back on that, and we can be a little bit flexible with whatever amount we do have remaining. So it's kind of just knowing that the fiscal year is coming to an end, kind of just looking for that thumbs up to proceed, and we'll get you the details on the specifics of the quote next month or as soon as we have it. Again, just trying to spend that end of year funding that we still have just under $50,000 remaining. Any questions for me before I turn it over to Zetron? All right, Lynn Warren, are you available?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. April was another busy month for us. Lucas went live on April 19th. Algona PD, Kossuth County went live on April 26th. And we've got Grundy County going live next week, and Mills County going live end of May. We've got other deployments coming up. As you mentioned, Harrison has a renovation going on next month. And we have them scheduled to move over to shared services September 13th. Next slide, please. This is what the current map is looking like. We now have 70 deployed PSAPs and 5 more in the pipeline. Always room for more. Next slide, please. And as always, if you'd like to see our monthly newsletter, send an email to lynn.warren@zetron.com and I'll get you on the distribution list. And that's it, unless there's any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I think that wraps up my portion as well, unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Blake. Moving on to the training fund requests. We can go ahead and tidy up that APCO Spring Conference bill. But I have a motion then to approve the $1,744.46 for APCO.
So move, Bearden.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second, Murphy.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I'll abstain.
You're abstaining, okay. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Against, same sign. And the motion carries. Okay, the Marshall County Guardian Project. Is anyone from that organization that wishes to speak on that?
Hi, my name's Tiffany Ives. I'm the supervisor in Marshall County. I'm here on Rhonda's behalf.
Good morning.
I've attended both of these trainings, and they both have to do with mental health. The Guardian Project is like in reference to burnout for first responders, and it's geared towards 911 dispatch. And it's noticing burnout or change in behavior in you or your peers, and different ways to communicate through that. And the resiliency training, excuse me, it focuses like on all different aspects and different ways to work through those things as well. They're both really good trainings, and I would recommend them to any agency.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the 2 requests from Marshall.
So move Bearden.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Against, same sign. And motion carries.
Griffith against.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
No, this was Griffith. I just want to be on record just saying I was opposing it.
Okay. All right. Blake, is there something specific you want to do with 911 just to?
No, just,
Okay.
I guess to let the council know, and if there's any issues or concerns with that,
Right.
give everyone a chance to speak. But again, with end of year funding, we wouldn't obviously use more than we have. We would look to print however much funding we have available and get those out for the good of 911 community and PSAPs.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to reports. Do we have any technical advisories? Okay, hearing none. Can we get an update on Iowa Statewide Interoperability Communication System Board from Haley Nichols?
Sure, thanks, Chair. I will just run through this really quickly to remind everyone that we have some trainings coming up, the COMEL, May 22nd through the 25th in Cedar Rapids. We have met the minimum of 15, but there's still spots available. If anyone's interested, please sign up this week so we can get all the paperwork through on that. June 19th through the 23rd will be the COMT in Spencer, Iowa. Still lots of room in that course, and the registration is live. And then a reminder, save the dates, October 3rd through 6th for an INTD, Incident Tactical Dispatcher, to be held in Pottawatomie County. We are working on a tactical interoperable communications plan through the ISIC board and committees. That should be available sometime late this summer to be published for all to use. I have been doing some traveling and radio testing across the state to try to find some options for counties that want to come on to ISIC, and that has been pretty successful. And I would like to thank everybody who's helped with all those testing. Finally, next week I'm going to be in Colorado for the National Council of SWCS meeting, and that will be a really good opportunity for me to learn from all the SWCS across the nation. And if anybody has anything that they would like me to take to that meeting or information that they would like to bring back, please let me know. I will be leaving on Monday. And I think that's all I have for the report, unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to an update from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, Infrastructure Security. Chris Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Council. Appreciate the time this morning. Wanted to kind of roll in very quickly to the reports this morning. We did release a new cybersecurity advisory 2 days ago. That was done with numerous agencies, totaling about 5 unique countries. So this is a very, very expansive cybersecurity advisory, and it discusses the snake malware that has its roots with Russia's Federal Security Service. This malware first appeared in 2003, so it has been around a long time, and it continues to evolve. And the thing that's very unique about this particular malware is how stealthy it is and how it can work in multiple different technical environments. If you start thinking about all the different types of computer networks that are out there, this works in numerous different iterations of each one. This has directly affected stakeholders in education, the private sector and industry, media, infrastructure, government, finance, manufacturing, and communications. So this is the malware that has basically touched everybody within our entire landscape within this country. It's very robust, and it is surprisingly difficult to detect, and there are very few things that can be done to exploit any weaknesses in it, given its complexity. So that being said, this new cybersecurity advisory was released 2 days ago. It's approximately 50 pages in size and has the latest updates on the snake malware, what it does, how it propagates, and what you can do to protect yourself. If you have not seen this advisory yet, please let me know and I will get it to you. This is something that you would definitely want to pass on to your information technology groups to make sure that they're aware that this is out there and that this is still an issue. That being said, please let me know if you need a copy of this advisory. It is posted on our website as well for wide release and sharing. This is labeled as TLP clear, so there's no restrictions on how far and wide you can share it as well. Next slide, new documents that are more germane to the emergency communications space. The National Council of Statewide Interoperability Coordinators Training Committee recently released a document called Leveraging the PACE Plan into the Emergency Communications Ecosystem. This document basically covers several things, but the big thing is, have you outlined your primary method of communication? Have you figured out what your alternative is? And in some instances, do you know what your contingency and emergency communications modes will be? The overall goal of this document is to improve an organization's resiliency for steady state and disaster operations and preparations. This is available for download as well at the link on the slide. It is a fairly quick read, and if you've never been exposed to PACE planning previously, this is a good way to get your introduction into it. Next slide, we have another document that was released on May 1st. Since the new website's been up, CISA has been very busy with releasing documents now that they have a place to put them. On early May, I believe it was May 1st, CISA urged organizations to incorporate the FCC covered list into their supply chain risk management plans. This is a bit of a unique document, but the long story short here is to figure out where your touch points are with trying to get equipment, and has that equipment been delayed in arrival? Because I think we've all seen that certain pieces of hardware are very hard to come by, such as batteries recently. This list of communications equipment and services has been determined by the U.S. government to pose an unacceptable risk to the security of this country, and this notice is designed to help incorporate those risks into supply chain management plans so that those risks can be understood and mitigated if possible. That is also available for download online. In the next slide, we do have a document that's more germane to 911. This was released right after we met last month. It's called Cyber Disruptions in 911. And this is a considerations document, and it goes into this concept of, since we have emergency communication centers that may be in various phases of introducing NG911, as that technology is expanded and increased and deployed, you may introduce new threat vectors that could, in theory, disrupt a PSAP, dispatch center, or something else connected to it. It looks at this concept of continuity of operations plans for responding to cyber incidents, regardless of the cause. Again, a cyber incident, in theory, could be something like ransomware, or it could be a fiber cut that tends to happen from time to time. It has a resource checklist for considerations, and it is a very quick read as well. But the feedback so far from stakeholders has been that it's very informative. The next slide, we have another document that came out after we met last month that discusses local funding. This document, called Interoperability Business Case, an Introduction to Ongoing Local Funding, has agencies develop that business case for how, why, and when communication systems could be funded. In many instances, you need to make a business case to try to secure that funding for either a new system deployment or continual maintenance of a system that may already be in place. This document is designed to serve as a guide to try to help make sure that those processes are understood and can be utilized to help ensure that programs and projects are successful. Next slide, our monthly plug for the SAFECOM nationwide survey. That is coming soon. I have been told we're getting close to the final corner of this following some revisions that have been taking place over the last couple of months. One of the last steps now is paperwork reduction act activities. Basically, it's looking at the weight of this survey on stakeholders as far as taking it, and once we get that done, this will be on the street. So look for that survey coming out relatively soon, and it will come possibly directly to your inbox from sns@cisa.dhs.gov. Last slide, regional items of note. NFL draft in Kansas City completed without incident. I think we learned some good communications case studies and best practices from that, and we'll be working to aggregate them if we can over time. One thing I want to point out to the group that I'll have available for next month is that we did some wireless priority service testing recently in Kansas City during the Super Bowl parade. That data has been analyzed, aggregated, and assembled, and I'll have a preview of what some of that data looks like at the council meeting next month. As a general preview of that data, I will say that the effects of WPS on a congested network are profound for the end user, and it worked as designed and was highly effective during our testing and even during some rudimentary calls that I had to make myself during that event. Otherwise, that's all I have for the month. I can go ahead and take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, I don't believe we have any 34A or baseline knowledge committee reports, but if someone knows differently, please speak up. Okay. Any legislative issues?
Legislature adjourned for the session. Nothing of note for 911.
Okay. Anything else? All right. I know we have some information sharing.
Yes, Chair, and this is Kara at Washington County. We received a public records request that ended up at our courthouse yesterday from an organization from Texas called Steep Steel, LLC. I wondered if any of my peers had received something similar. The request was for copies of all active licenses, leases for cell towers, rooftop antennas, or other wireless installations on property owned or managed by Washington County, along with 24 months of associated payment history. Which, I'm talking to Blake, I'm just going to go to my county attorney and see if there's some way we can not release this information, but I just thought that was interesting and probably not a good way to try to get a foot in the door for business in the area.
Okay. Anything else? All right. I don't have any new or old business or travel requests, so that just leaves us with someone to make a motion to adjourn.
Pierce will make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Murphy will second.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.